Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about the difference between braces, traditional braces, and Invisalign. And as you may know, those are two great ways to align or straighten your teeth and improve your smile, but there's so much controversy, so I want to share with you my thoughts and some experiences that I've had with both. So let's get started. This came up because we were on a kind of a family weekend vacation, and my daughter, who's going to be 12 in September, and her best friend, who's like, they're 3 days apart in age, they were saying how they're going to have to get their teeth straightened because now they're becoming, a little bit more self-conscious and they wanted a nice smile. And one of them has, a pretty noticeable missing area where a tooth's kind of tucked in, and my other daughter, her canines are up high and she doesn't like the fact she doesn't have any canines. So they're really wanting a bit of biology to go a little faster than they're maybe ready, but they were debating and deciding what they wanted. Now one of them immediately said, well, I'm gonna have Invisalign because partly her mom does Invisalign and that's just what we do, and I've been doing a lot of Invisalign. I've done a lot of straight wire, traditional brackets and wires as well, but not for pretty long time because we do most things we need to do here in this office with Invisalign. So she wanted Invisalign. Now her friend was like, no, I'm gonna get braces because it's not gonna cost as much, and I just don't really want to burden my family with extra costs, there's going to be that. But also she really was looking forward to the idea of having, elastics that were colored, and for that age that is something that is pretty, appealing because they get to be kind of cool with the elastics and stuff. So this went back and forth for a few days. So I laid out the facts for them, and that's what I want to do right now with you. I want to explain to you what I said to them and what I would say to anyone who's considering having tooth alignment and is kind of not sure what type of system to do this with would be. So I said to them, first of all, I said, look girls, you guys, do you floss every day? Do you take really good care of your teeth right now? And they kind of smirked and they're not so great with their flossing. And I said, well, when you have braces, I said you have to fish the floss underneath the wire, and it's a little bit harder, and sometimes your gums can get swollen when you don't do that regularly. I said with Invisalign, of course, you can take the aligners out and then you can just floss the normal way, which won't change you having how you floss or anyone helping you floss. So for me as a mom, that's extremely important because I don't want to see my child get, swollen gums or decay or anything like that, and I want to be able to help her a little bit easier. So I knew that was going to be easier. The second thing I said was, there's really no difference in the cost, girls. It really costs the same. Most dentists and orthodontists will charge pretty much the same for the wires and brackets as they will Invisalign. So, thinking about, saving money and saving yourself some costs, generally it hasn't been my experience that a lot of providers of orthodontics or of the braces and Invisalign, they charge a lot different. Often it is about the same cost. So in the end, you should pick what you think will work best for you. The next thing I said is, the one thing about Invisalign girls is that you're gonna have to keep them in. You're gonna take them out to eat probably, but the trick is that, with brackets and wires and young kids, they're a little forgetful, and one of my daughter's best friend, she is very forgetful, and that was a good point she made. She's like, I lose everything. I'm like, yes you do. You leave everything at my house. So I mean, really it was sort of a good point, because if you're sort of this super forgetful person, you're not like extremely responsible, a teenager or even an adult who has Invisalign might have a bit more problems. The great thing about Invisalign though is if you do lose an aligner, another one can be printed for you, and sometimes if you're near the end of that segment, you can just go to the next aligner. So didn't quite tell you all that. But the point is that you generally don't have to worry too much about that. However, if you really just don't want to think about it, you don't want to have to worry about it, then that's why wires and brackets might be better for you. And again, now my daughter, halfway through the day, she's starting to say she wants brackets and wires, and she wanted Invisalign, and I'm like, she's my kid, so I'm like, you have to have Invisalign. This is what I do. So she was saying, but Mom, you know, I want to have what my friend has. So that's sometimes there's a little bit of peer pressure there. But also they did want to have, you know, different colored elastics, and they wanted to have, like, you know, kind of dress their teeth up, if you will, for different occasions or different seasons. And I get that, but I really wanted her to know that, you know, it's not necessarily as comfortable with wires and brackets. And one of my friends was with me, and she's like, you know, it does. It kind of, you know, the wires and brackets, you can get a little bit of chafing. Sometimes you have to put wax in there. I've had both. So in my experience, in my lifetime, I've had wires and brackets, and I've had Invisalign. And I can honestly say it's certainly a lot more comfortable to your lips and cheeks. So you really don't have to worry about, you know, like that kind of getting the brackets or getting the wires tightened or getting the wires changed is what people talk about, that soreness, and then the lips and everything kind of getting cut up, because you're not doing that. With Invisalign, you're doing very small movements evenly throughout your entire treatment. There's not like a day where you get something dramatically different that's going to start up the process of inflammation again and start up the process of, you know, any rough areas of your lips and cheeks. So I was still leaning, as you can imagine, I was sort of leaning towards Invisalign, because I know that, you know, for the kid that sort of would be complaining about that, that's going to be a really tough thing to negotiate. And even as an adult, I certainly don't want that myself. So another thing that I explained to them was that about how Invisalign works. So if I'm doing, creating an Invisalign plan for you, Invisalign treatment plan, I'm setting it up so that I know exactly where your teeth are going to be at every moment in time. When we do wires and brackets, we have an idea, but depending on how the patient responds to the treatment and what the, you know, the wires, how fast we go with the wires, there's a little bit less predictability, I would say. And again, this is just my experience. I'm not an orthodontist, and I certainly know that, you know, everybody's hands, Invisalign works better to some people, wires and brackets works better for some others. But in my own hands, I love the fact that I can have a little bit more predictability, and I know roughly how many months, you know, if I get the patient to be compliant, then I can confidently say, look, these are the trays, these are where the teeth will be at this point. It's digitally created and it's planned ahead of time. A bit unlike wires and brackets. On our wires and brackets, we have a rough idea of how long each person will be in a certain wire and what the teeth will do, but there is a little bit, sometimes there's like, what if I think about a pendulum, you know, you can kind of move a tooth a bit too far, and you're like, oh, it moved a bit too far, it responded a bit too well to the wire or bracket combination. Now we're gonna have to bring that tooth back in again. So there's a little bit more of, could be what we call round tripping, or a little bit of more movement that might add extra time to your treatment when doing wires and brackets. And again, everybody uses it differently, but for me, I like the fact that my patients are in a sort of a pre-planned, digitally designed orthodontic appliance. So at the end of we were actually on the ferry coming back from Graham and Ann, and by the end of the ferry ride, they are like, excuse me, Mom, and you know, Peggy, we're gonna have a meeting about what we're gonna do, and we'll come back to you with our decision, because I had laid out all these options for them, like kind of the facts. So they're so cute. They come over, they're like, okay, we've made our decision. We think you're gonna like we think you're gonna like what we decided. I'm like, okay, thank you. Decided on Invisalign. And they were so cute, and they're like, you know what, and this is why we want it. And so now they're like completely all on board. They feel a little bit more in control. They feel like they've been given their options, and they have made the decision, even though I kind of swayed them. But you know, it's really important that, again, as the person who's getting the orthodontics or getting the tooth movement, you really want to make sure that you are on board, or the child or the adult is on board with how we're going to actually do it, because we need compliance throughout, whether it's hygiene or wear time. But anyway, they decided that. So very excited. They're coming back from camp tomorrow. I picked them up, and they're going to be coming to the office for their digital impressions, which we're going to do with the iTero, which is just a digital video that we take of their mouth, and I'm going to take some photos. And the two of them together are pretty excited because they're always like two peas in a pod anyway, and they are going to be starting their Invisalign journey. So I'm going to be sharing that with you. Definitely maybe do another little update about how they're doing with that, and maybe we'll even get to interview them. Trying to bribe them on that. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was helpful. If you have any questions or you want to make any comments, absolutely leave them for me. I appreciate that, and I will get back to you. And if you haven't already subscribed, please do so, and thank you for watching. Bye.